we put way too much emphasis and stock on like the worship of celebrities in our culture. Welcome back to the What's the Dill podcast, the place where we answer the most viral questions about Catholic life. I'm your host, Dill. Today we got a great, crazy, kind of controversial episode. So thank you for checking in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you watch, like, subscribe, share this with someone who you think might like it. How are you feeling today? How are you feeling this week? How's your week going? My week's going pretty good. Felt a little bit sick earlier this week, which is not the best way to start off the week, but we're getting back to it. We're eating solids. We're back on track. So we're going to jump into today's episode, and I want you guys to reach out to me. Tell me your thoughts on some of these. I think you'll know, particularly the first question, on what I'm talking about. So just reach out to me. Let me know your thoughts, because I'd love to hear from you. Okay, jumping into the first question. A lot has been made in the news recently of the P-Diddy situation in Hollywood. Should Catholics care about what's going on over there? Okay, great question. It's very in the news. And for those of you that don't know, P-Diddy, the rapper mogul, has just been indicted on some pretty serious and pretty sinister charges. You know, he was living a double, triple, quadruple life of just debaucherous, drug-filled, sex-filled, power-hungry, abusive behavior. And it's shocking. It's really, really shocking. And you know, the details of the story are pretty gruesome and pretty disgusting. So read and research at your own risk. I don't want to encourage you to go down a rabbit hole looking all this stuff up about P. Diddy and feeling like it's bringing you to a bad spot, a really like bad place you want to be at. So you don't have to go down the rabbit hole too deeply. But what I think is interesting about this question is the point that a lot of times our Catholic circles make, which I think is a great one. The divide between our culture and our faith. Our culture worships celebrities. We worship celebrities. We give them power. We listen to them. We worship celebrities. But what happens when humans get that type of power? We've seen it before. P. Diddy is not the first. P. Diddy is not the first to have this happen. We've seen it in history through civilizations. We've seen it in the Bible. People get corrupted by power, and they use it for their own selfish gain and for their own pleasure-seeking behavior. P. Diddy is just the latest example of a man who let fame, money, power go to his head, into his heart, and let him commit horrible, treasonous, wrong, sinful crimes. Okay, we know that's what happens. When we worship celebrities and people, it gives them a freedom and a power to live a life that is sinful and debaucherous. Because we know as Catholics, all worship goes to God. Now, that's, I think, the difference is that that's an important distinction, is that like, if you take God out of the picture of power, if you take God out of the picture of your accomplishments, if you take God out of the picture of the purpose of your life, what you got going on, the successes of your life, it leads to ridiculous, sinful, terrible behavior. Just like terrible, sinful, criminal things. So we put way too much emphasis and stock on like the worship of celebrities in our culture. Like, we listen to them. They tell us their thoughts on everything. Who to vote for, what to do. They make award shows for themselves, and they get up on the stage and they tell us how stupid we are for the things that we do. We worship them. So when we take God out of worship, when we take God out of the center of our lives and take God out of the center of our purpose in our lives, and we don't give him worship, this is the result. This is the result. And so, should we care? I think we should care to the extent of, this is another example of why we don't put stock in, like, our culture. Our culture, we might see P-Diddy on a stage and having parties and people around him and music and the allure, the pull of something big and great. And we can't see the sin underneath. We can't see the sinister, terrible things underneath the surface. All we see is the music, the people, the good-looking people, and that can be alluring. But we cannot be confused. We cannot be tricked into thinking the pull of fame, celebrity. Oh my gosh, look at those people. I want to be there. We cannot confuse the pull of that to a life with Christ, which gives true joy and true peace and the right way to live. We know following Christ is the right way to live. Not following the morals of Diddy. Don't be fooled by the glitz and the glam. And I think that's the thing, is that we know glitz and glam, that's nothing. We know that Christ, Jesus, the most powerful, righteous man who ever lived, said, I came to serve, not be served. But what does someone like P-Diddy say? Do what I want, or I'm going to blackmail you. Do what I want, or I'm going to abuse you. Do what I want, or I'm going to do X, Y, Z to you. That's not real power. That's insecurity. That's sin. That's shame. That's not real power. Oh, I'm going to tell on you if you tell on me? Dude, that's chump behavior. Like, what a chump. You know what I mean? Like, I love, that's not power. I have power over everyone because I have stuff I can blackmail them with. No, that's not power. Real, true power is Jesus saying, I came to serve, not be served. So this is transformative stuff for our culture. Like, hey, an idea of servant leadership, not just glitz and glam power. Don't be fooled by it. Let's not be fooled by the award shows. Let's not be fooled by the glitz and the glam of the celebrities. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, like, wow, incredible. Now, because we know that Christ is never going to fail us, but we know that will fail. The glitz and glam will fail us. Now, I'm not saying that you can't listen to, oh my gosh, bro, you need to break all your Taylor Swift CDs and what. I'm not saying that, but I think enjoying the art of artists is different than glamorizing them and worshiping them. And we know this. We know the behavior. You know what I mean? We know inside ourselves, and we know the behavior of other people when it goes beyond admiring and enjoying the art of artists and just straight up worship. So let's reflect on our own lives and make sure that we're worshiping God and God alone and not getting too wrapped up in the allure of glitz and glam Hollywood. So I think that's how we should care about this P-Diddy situation. Let me know what you think about this. Okay, moving on. Next question. A guy at the gym deadlifted more than me yesterday. I was jealous of this because I used to be able to do that type of weight, but I can't anymore. I knew this was a feeling of jealousy, and I tried to stop, but I literally couldn't. I know pride is one of my biggest sins, but I really struggle with it. I just need help with jealousy, pride, envy. How can I become better on this? What's a solution? So this is like a real at the core of a man. Just like a man lifted something heavier than me, and I can't do that. Oh, that gets me. Yeah. Oh man, I should be lifting heavier stuff. Like, we're just guys, we're simple creatures. We see another man lifting something heavier than us, and we're like, I probably could, if I stretched a little more, I could do that. But, I think I could wrestle him. He's bigger than me, tall trees fall fast, We're simple creatures, and we see a man lifting something heavier, and it maybe makes us feel something like, I should be lifting heavier things. Now, obviously, this, taking seriously this guy's question is that, he's feeling something inside of him, like some sort of envy, rage, jealousy that someone's stronger than him because there's this image of who he used to be. How do we deal with this? How do we get to the root of pride? How do we get to the root of this envy? Pride is essentially self-reliance over God-reliance. Now, I think a lot of times we put God into a box where we say, okay, God, you're for Sundays, you're for prayer, you're for when I need you, you're on the bench, but when we need you, we'll call you into the game. When we need you, we'll get you in the game, and then you come save the day for us. Okay, great. But for the most part, I'm just going to do my thing. and I'm just going to be good over here. That's pride. Pride is saying, I can rely on myself to get it done. God equips us with gifts, talents, skills to live our life, accomplish things in our life. But they're gifts from God. We don't oftentimes look at them as gifts from God. We think, yeah, I mean, this is how I was born. I was born this way. I'm just built different. This is me. It's like, well, it's actually a gift from God, and it's meant to be for good, but it's not meant so we can rely on our own strength. It's so we can rely on God. And that can be very hard for guys. Guys have a really, really hard time, I think, trusting in another man. Like trusting in God with everything in our hearts. I think we can say, like, God, I need you for strength. I need you for peace. I need you to help me with the things in my life. That's how I need you, Lord. I want to do good things and I need help with this. I think that's like a guide, can be a guide perspective. But God is looking for full reliance on him for everything. So if we're in the gym and we feel like, hey, I used to be lifting more, now I'm not, this just makes me insanely jealous and envious. Well, God's saying, hey, I want you to rely on me with your aging body. I want you to rely on me that I have a purpose and a plan for your aging body. And I want you to know that where your physically active body in the gym right now is for a purpose. Maybe it's to pick up your kids, to help at your job, help around the house. But rely on me that there is a purpose for good in your life. And then I think that can be a little bit like, oh, like, what? Okay, so I'm just supposed to be like, hey, you could lift heavier than me, but whatever. Like, I'm going to be lifting my kids, so that's whatever. I'm not jealous anymore. But it's the idea of letting God into our hearts for everything in our lives and giving over our hearts to God in every aspect of our life. I know that's been a challenge for me, really like letting God into every single part of my life. Not just prayer, not just when I need him, not just when things are bad, but at the gym, for physical activity, the job, like stuff around the house, chores, letting God into everything. And sometimes God uses opportunities like this to reveal something in us. So he uses maybe that envy or that jealousy, that pride to reveal something we need to work on. So dig a little deeper in that. You're focusing on the feeling of jealousy and anger. Okay, but dig a little deeper. Maybe God is saying, hey, you're too vain. You put too much emphasis on how you look physically because you want girls to look at you and admire your body. You might say you want a wife, but deep down you want the admiration of women. And that, when it's not ordered, that's not good. Or, that's not an ordered way to have a relationship with women. Wanting their admiration for your physical looks. That's not the best way to view women. You get jealous because someone deadlifts more than you because you didn't qualify for a weightlifting competition a few years ago and you feel like God failed you because that was your dream. So now you see someone doing it and it's bringing back a bad memory. But maybe God's calling you to let go of things of the past so you can move on to better things. But you keep holding on to the past. And seeing a guy deadlift more than you just brings you right back to that moment because you haven't received forgiveness for it. You haven't healed from it. So you're just stuck in the past. And God's bringing it to the surface so you can let go and move on. There's these things that God will use so we can get purified. God wants to purify us and wipe out every cobweb in our hearts to draw closer to him. So, dig a little deeper. Go a little deeper in that. Don't be scared of that feeling to try to see what's underneath there and how you can purge that from your heart. So, pride, jealousy, envy, seeing someone, seeing a guy do something better than you. These are things we feel as guys. We all want to be the best. We all want to be known for something. We all want to have greatness. Magnanimous guys. We want to be magnanimous. And that's okay. We want to be magnanimous. But let's not confuse being magnanimous with making sure that I'm getting all the credit, all the worship, and that everything goes perfectly according to my plan. Well, like, no, that's pride. Self-reliance over God-reliance. So dig into that, see where God is trying to bring you, and trust in God with your whole heart. Okay, next question. I'm 25, I have 2 jobs, soon to be 3, I haven't been to Mass in months. I'm working a lot of jobs because houses in my area are over $500,000 on average, and I feel very discouraged, so I'm trying to save a lot of money. So I'm working a ton, and I really want to make more money so I can find a wife and start a family. So even though I haven't been to Mass, is this okay in the eyes of the church? I set these noble goals I'm sacrificing today for the betterment of my future family that God has planned for me. Is this bad? Okay. So this is an interesting question. This is an interesting dynamic. Like, I'm trying to do things now to set myself up for what God has for me. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's a good thing. But I'm letting go of all the things that maybe God is calling to me right now, like not going to Mass. That's not good. Now, why is that not good? Okay. You're a young guy, 25, got these jobs, you're working because you want to set your family up with some money. You're like, my family needs money. You quickly realize, as I've realized, okay, I'll just say this. I have realized that you're always going to be busy as a dad, a husband. So there's going to be so much business. You got a job, you're going to have a family, you're going to have kids. And a lot of times, we're going to want to make sacrifices for our family. But we can never jeopardize the moral faith foundation of our family. So you need to start putting that into practice right now. It will only pay off for you and your future family if you find a way to get to church right now when you are busy. Because when you're busy as a family, you're going to find a way to do it then. But if you make excuses now, you're going to make excuses when you have a family. And your family is counting on you as a dad and a father to bring them to Mass, to be the spiritual leader for the family. So it's like, it's not noble to say, hey, I'm throwing my faith to the wind because I'm trying to make my family more money in the future. Brother, I'll tell you this. Your habits aren't just going to magically change when you become a husband or father. They're not. You're not going to magically start wanting to go to Mass more because you have a wife and if you're still really busy. No, it's actually going to be harder because there's going to be other people's schedules and baby schedules and nap times and all these things that are going to get in the way of timing. And if you already have a habit of saying, well, we don't need to go to Mass this week, you will continue that habit. But if you put into practice today, while you are very busy with all these jobs and you're working hard for your future family, if you put into practice today faithful traditions, that will pay off for your family for years, for decades, for generations. Your kids will look to you and say, hey, we were busy, my dad was always working, but we always made it to Mass. And that will be a moral foundation for that. That will be a core of their foundation belief in God. So it's not that, hey, what you're saying is do the ends, not going to Mass, or do the ends, a great family, justify the means, not going to Mass? The answer is always no. The ends never justify the means. But be encouraged to know that if you want to set up your family for success, you need to make sure that God is the center of that. And going to Mass is a great way every single week to keep God at the center. It's a great weekly thing to do to make sure that, hey, no matter what comes, no matter where we are, no matter what's happening, no matter how busy we are, we go to Mass as a family. This is a tradition and a thing that we do as a family. And you need to put that into practice today. And I tell you, there's things that I wish I did better in my 20s that I needed to relearn in my 30s. Like bad habits or like things that I thought maybe was said. Bad habits don't just change. Bad habits don't magically change. They actually need to be untied. So every week that you don't go to Mass is going to be a little bit harder for you to start going to Mass every single week. So And you also have to trust that God has a plan for your job, your career, your future, and to know that He's never saying, "Yo, it's chill, bro. Don't worry. You're such a hustler. Just skip mass." No, actually, God's calling you to holiness, and He wants you to go to mass every week. So, yeah, don't lose faith that God has a plan for your family, and that you need to hustle at all costs, and even miss mass because this is God's plan for me. It's not. Trust that God is going to bring opportunities to you, that He's going to provide for your family, for work, and for money. So, great question. I think something that all guys can relate to. I'm super busy. I got a lot going on. I got to get to mass. How do I carve this in? I promise you, it pays off for your family, and I promise you, you need to build the habits right now, today, this Sunday. You know, if you're a guy out there, you're like, oh, should I go to mass this Sunday? Go to mass this Sunday and carve it out. And find time to go to mass. Don't just say, oh, well, I was really busy. You need to build the habits today. So that's going to be it for me today, y'all. I appreciate you checking in, stopping by, watching, listening, however you are consuming this. Reach out to me with your thoughts, your questions. Tell me what you think about the P-Diddy thing, jealousy, envy, pride, making time for mass. Tell me what you guys think. I'd love to hear from you. Text, call, DM, whatever. Thank you all again. Hope you have a great week. Hope you, have a great time with your friends, your family, and just, are having a great time. Thank you all again. I'll see you all soon. Peace. Bye.